Hello, everybody. My name's Ben Robbins, and I'm here today with Lewis MacLeod. Is that correct?
That's right. Well done, Lewis MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod. Hello.
How you doing, sir?
I'm all right.
How you been?
Yeah, we've had a great day here today in Croydon. I'm not entirely sure what part of Croydon we're at. Is it not? There's that many Croydons. There's
It's just
west,
one area, I think.
one area nearing towards more east or west or north or south to southeast Croydon.
I think more south.
South. We're in South Croydon. Yes, and it's great. We're in a Masonic hall. It's a lovely building. And we've just been meeting some Star Wars fans, and it's been a laugh.
Yeah.
It's great. You remember lots of different things about the film that you hadn't thought of for a while, and it's a good memory exercise, if anything.
Yeah.
You know, because it's 21 years ago.
Oh, blimey, 21 years ago
Yeah.
now.
Well, actually, when did I record it? 97 was when I recorded my audio. But yeah, the film came out, so it's actually longer than that. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a long time ago. In a galaxy far, far away. And then, of course, there was the prequels, the prequel Ep 4s that came out. Do you remember that in '97? And that was they were the highest rated films ever for years when they all came out.
Yeah.
I had a really funny story actually. A guy I worked with, who told me that when the film premiered, they all went to the Odeon at Marble Arch, and there's a scene in the movie in Episode 4, New Hope.
Yeah.
Where, my uncle says, my father, he spoke of an Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then you get the music, and Alec Guinness goes, Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's a name I haven't heard for a long time. Beat pause, a long time, and then it carries on. Well, when that film went out, this guy waited for that moment. Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's a name I haven't heard for a long time. And in the audience, somebody shouted out, again! And he went, a long time. And the whole cinema just erupted. I'd love to have been there for that. I did actually witness a very funny occasion on Ep 3.
Yeah.
We all went to see it. This was the third time I went to see it. It was such a good movie, that. It was really brilliant. And the ratio to Star Wars fans, male to female, it was you see the women sitting like this, and they were getting constantly told stuff about the films. You can see one of them actually, shut up, going to let me watch the film. Nice. But somebody got up halfway through the movie, and I could hear the seat go, and I couldn't see anything, but I could hear the, and I was like, this guy's really desperate to leave the cinema.
Yeah.
And then as the sound of them coming down the stairs sort of got to around about here, I heard a and then a little and at this point, in complete darkness where we couldn't see him, he was mid-air.
Oh, nice.
And he was coming down, and then almighty crash. And when he hit the deck, the place erupted. Yeah. And at that moment when it happened, Yoda, the CGI Yoda, the new Yoda, was on the screen. And it was about the Force, and it was really, it was an intense scene. But it was amazing how quickly that everybody got distracted, because we were all listening to this guy subconsciously coming down the stairs, and then that trip, that boom, boom, and then where he took off. And he did a lap of honour as well. He got up, dusted himself down, took a round of applause. I mean, the entire cinema was in an uproar.
Yeah.
Wonderful. It's such a great franchise, isn't it? It's just love it. I love it. It's great fun. Yeah.
So how did you learn that you could do voices and start getting into voice acting?
All right. My brother Callum, who's sadly no longer with us, was a brilliant mimic, and he used to impersonate my father. And my eldest brother Donald, he does voices as well. He talks like that. He's got this kind of Glaswegian. How you doing? But Callum would impersonate people, and he did a very. He reminded me when he was younger. He sort of looked a bit like R.P. McMurphy, he did look a bit like Jack there. And so I'd watch him, and even although there's a sort of 8-year age gap between us, I was able to deduce that what he's doing is making people really happy. It's making, and so I started doing it in school, and so they were definitely the source of, Donald and Callum. And watching them impersonate, and my father was very encouraging. He would set things up like this. He would set a tape up, and he'd get them to do characters from Monty Python.
Nice.
And so I found myself just drifting along with that.
Yeah.
Then it was the school teachers, but when it became a profession, I guess it was I think I was still at school. My father paid for a commercial for my brother's band,
Yeah.
and I went in and did the commercial.
Mm.
And I remember the guy directing. He goes, first take. He went, "That sounds like my brother's got a band and I don't give a." And I went, all right, okay. And I sort of did this fantastic new Scottish band, the Crows, live on stage. That's what I sounded like when I was 16. Hi. and I just kept doing it. I just thought, I like this job. I like being in a studio, and I love the sort of the studio vibe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it just slowly it sort of seeded an idea that this could be a profession, you know. And it was only when I came down to London in '95.
Yeah.
I'd been working in London on and off, but when I came down permanently, I got an agent, a voice agent, and then I just really just continued doing that. And of course, there was a lot of new satellite channels that started up. I was still only 25.
Yeah.
And so I was doing promos. I was doing a lot of, Saturday morning. And it was all that. And I was told specifically, work on an English accent so that you could use it to, do end boards, as we call them, or strap lines, or whatever, or narration.
Yeah.
So the voice acting was a natural continuation. The mimicry was through that. Then there was animations, cartoons, stand-up, satire. There's a lot of departments that my mimicry ability led me to,
Yeah.
We've just finished a series of online Zoom readings for Private Eye.
Nice.
And it's just so much fun to work with these writers. And Hislop, he's a genius, and Ian's wonderful. The best writers in Britain. And then that dovetails into Dead Ringers.
Yeah.
So the professions that I would sort of look for them. I'd say, right, well, I could do it in stand-up, but I wasn't doing an awful lot of stand-up, really.
Yeah.
And I think when I moved down to London and started doing more voiceovers, it became my career.
Nice.
And so at the expense of acting, I didn't train as an actor, but I knew I could do this work, and so yeah, it was a good time.
So
that mid-90s was great, and then Star Wars, obviously.
I mean, there's one film I have to ask you about, Planet 51. I saw that on your list, and I've got to ask you. So, how did you get involved in Planet 51?
Well, it was the same sort of deal. It was your agent puts you up for it. I mean, Hobson's, who I'm represented by, are fantastic, and they're, it's a long association we've had, and these are you audition for them like you would an acting job. You go in and they'll try out different characters with you. There's another department I do called ADR, which I suppose is what Star Wars was. It was automatic dialogue replacement. It was the first time I'd ever seen that thing. You've seen it in cinema where they go boop, 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 and they speak. I hadn't ever come across that before, so my first take was me going, right, that's what you do. And I think I was probably expected to know that when I got in the door, so I was a bit kind of like, okay. I made it, got through the session. And Planet 51 had quite a lot of that. Yeah. And by the time we got to do it, I knew where I was in that, I could improvise around it. And a lot of it's confidence, I was more confident in the sessions. Yeah. And I think it just... the more experience you get at it, the better you become. And I think that process of long form animation, they've got it down really well. You can go in and maybe in a couple of sessions you've got your stuff well and truly done. So yeah.
Because I remember there was a character. I think was it this one?
No, that was Tad the Explorer.
We did the Freddy.
But there was lots of anything where I could sort of stretch my vocal range. Planet 51 had loads of crazy characters that were all, aliens and, lots of Americans, lots of newsreaders, those guys. But, they're great fun. Yeah. The CGI was pretty good as well, from my memory. It was a good film, that.
So we're here at a Star Wars Day today, and you've been in Star Wars. Tell us about your role and character in Star Wars and who you played.
Well, I play in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. I'm Sebulba, who's a pod racer. Yeah. And I actually just found out today he was from a place... I knew he was a Doug, D-U-G, which is a very Glaswegian... He's a very Glaswegian character. He's a Doug, all right, pal. But he's from Pixelito, which I didn't know. I thought he was Tatooine-based, but this is very specific. He's from, Pixelito. And he speaks a language which I thought they had just assembled some fridge magnets and made a sentence because it's gibberish. but it's not. It's an actual language.
Oh,
and it's
really?
Huttese, yes.
Nice.
So Jabba the Hutt speaks Huttese. And so that was the cue for me to, when Robin Gurland said, okay, he's speaks the same language as Jabba. And I thought, right, okay, well, why don't I start at that down there, these sort of low tones.
Yeah.
And they quite liked that, because from there, I can only go up. And so we developed a voice for him where he was in the pod race and he's shouting over a stadium.
Yeah.
A slightly higher pitch. So and it was easier to do because I can't speak like this for any length of time.
Yeah.
So what you do, and because that was my movie trailer voice, I always wanted to do film trailers.
Yeah.
And so when I hit about 37, I think I did my first one, but then I transposed this sound to this sound, and it made it a lot easier. Imagine a world. And I think film trailers are fantastic. I've always enjoyed the imagine a time, imagine a world in a land. So it was something I always wanted to do. And so this was the kind of, it was a similar sort of voice. And luckily I didn't have to say too much in this voice. But I wanted them to hear the different range of sounds I could do for them.
Yeah. That's awesome. So obviously we're at a convention today. How's it been meeting the fans and
it's been brilliant
and seeing people again?
Yeah, we've been next door. We've been meeting. Garrick Hagan was there. We were in Belgium just the other week.
Yeah.
And I just, it's been a laugh. It's been really funny. Some of the cosplay appearances are hysterical.
Yeah.
and as I say, you kind of remember, funny stories about what that time was like. It's just really shocking when you think that's 23, odd years ago.
Yeah.
But it's hugely rewarding because I haven't done a lot of conventions. I've only done 11. This is my 11th, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've not been to many at all.
Yeah.
So I'm happy just to sort of come along and meet Star Wars fans because I'm a fan too, and there's a lot of families that like there was a dad and his son there, and he's dressed up as Han Solo, so it's great because I think a lot of couples, either the wife hates the whole thing,
yeah,
and the guy's her partner is a hoarder. He's got all these posters and boxes of toys that he'll never play with.
No,
he'll just collect them.
They just sit under the bed and that's where they stay.
Oh, yeah. I never had a lot. I had when I was a kid. I had loads of merch. I had loads of. I think the only Star Wars figure I didn't have was Bosk.
Oh right, yeah.
The sort of reptilian bounty hunter from the Empire. But I had everything else, and I sold it all. I even made sets out of paper mache and like Yoda's hut and things like that. And I sold it all to get a £50 bike,
Nice.
which was garbage. I remember I came off the curb and the wheel buckled. I thought, bring back my Star Wars. Can I get them back?
Yeah.
So, yes, I've a lot of regret about getting rid of my Star Wars collection.
Yeah. Also, well, thank you so much for talking today. It was just a quick little talk.
Cool.
And I want to let you get back to your fans. There's still people here, actually, isn't there? There's still people going in
and
out.
It's busy. There's movement. It has life. Organic life. Anyway, it's good to meet you, man.
It's nice to meet you. Thank you so much for today.
And may the force be with you.
Awesome. Thank you.